to go, oh, I can't just play the game that I've always played because here's someone bringing something a little bit different to the table.
However, you're going up against Wenger, one of the best to ever do it in Quake Champions, that's for sure. So, we'll see if dramiS has what it takes to be able to put a bit of a stop to this so far. Wenger checking things out from his point of view first, an immediate ambush, and dramiS just gets turned to ash. That was a savage beginning.
That was real nasty, and it might even end up into being a second frag right here, but the grenades playing a big part in one of the reasons why Keel is picked here. Now, dramiS looking for an opportunity here to follow up, but not going to happen. Wenger actually getting the frag, knowing the damage that he put out in the last engagement. But 2-1, pretty fast pace so far, catch up, and I do think that Wenger, that was kind of the perfect start for him. In the back corner again, these two getting up close and personal as there's another frag from Wenger almost going down to that acid in there, but he stays alive and grabs the health bubble, and he's now up by 2.
And there's quite a few bubbles left to pick up. And to be fair, those major items are about to spawn, so likely Wenger will give up one of them to make sure he can take the other. In this case, dramiS looks like he's going to be sitting near Mega. Can he get the heavy? Bit of denial, maybe. Oh, goes through the teleporter. Felt like Wenger had like half of an idea going towards that heavy, but dramiS was able to collect, and even now, the chance of a clean frag is quite high. There it is. Even with the spawning stack, the only problem is that Wenger only has an LG. Going towards a rocket now, but that's it for the moment.
Yeah, that was, you know, kind of an interesting approach in that last frag, but I think, you know, Wenger knew, okay, I'm kind of trapped up here. Let me put myself in a position where I could do some defensive damage and at least try to set up for, you know, possibly off the spawn, making something happen. But I do like the grenades that are coming out from dramiS, especially in any of the close corner parts. I'm a little surprised, Ketchup, that Wenger is comfortable fighting in those situations where a grenade can bounce right off the wall behind you and just, you know, pluck you in the arse. So yeah, he's making it work, though. Wenger is looking pretty good in what I've seen so far.
More of that sort of defensive play from Wenger as a very clear split on the items. There's not going to be any kind of delay between the two of them. I take one, you take one. Now, in this case, Wenger listening out. Needs a bit more rockets, really, actually. That opening rail missing its mark would have been much more punishing if dramiS actually was able to return some damage himself, but a little bit back and forth so far, positioning-wise. Looks like Wenger considerably early here. 5 seconds for either or, and he just waits. Nice little reaction there, too. We're going to take an item each, but just like that, what I'm looking at, is the difference of armor. That's going to be the deal breaker. Oh, never mind.
Yep, kind of a race there with that rail, and believe it or not, you know, rail has definitely been more in favor of dramiS, where he's at 50%. Prior to that one rail out of the teleporter, we hadn't seen Wenger hit one yet, so he does finally get on the board here. But only a 1-frag game, and I still think that we're looking at something that has the potential to be very, very close, right? Keeping it within a 1-2 frag range is going to certainly make for a more exciting play. I think the further either player gets away from that lead, the harder it becomes, and I guess they can make some pretty significant changes to how they're approaching the map overall. But still very early. Nice double rail coming out from Wenger that time, using the spit to kind of zone down from below. dramiS with a nice rail of his own and a second from the mid-level. They will trade as a result of the split, but again, keeping this within a 1-frag game, that's still a pretty good spot for both players to be in.
Yeah, and this has been one of the first times in the map that there's been a significant difference between the two items. I mean, 4 or 5 seconds doesn't sound like a lot, but on a map like this, when they're so close together, it's a bit of a different story. Now, both players have done a great job of juggling their item control. However,
wow,
I was about to say,
wow,
all close range rail. That was some bold plays. I was going to say that we haven't seen a lot of situations where a player is weak enough. Oh, the steal, that was all he wanted. My train of thought is gone. So much has happened. Let it be, Ryan. Let it be. As now we move forward.
And that was, I mean, that was such a wicked rail coming out there from dramiS. Wenger is like, where did that come from? Now in the corner, it eats a couple of grenades. Is this going to be a moment for dramiS? It is, as Wenger is just kind of caught in a spot. You know, normally I don't think that room is too harmful or difficult to deal with, but because of the grenades, the scenario changed quite a bit. And dramiS, keeping up the aggression there, is able to tie this one up 5-5 as we're going to be able to switch over to his view. But again, all the damage that was done, he was not going to be able to keep that going for too much longer. Wenger does get his lead back, and dramiS pretty aggressive off of that spawn, using some of those grenades to try to get some better positioning. A big direct rocket coming in, but Wenger with the LG to kind of ward him off. Now we're going to have the fight over that heavy. The rail does hit, and the spit is active on dramiS. He's going to negate that with the health bubble pickup. And Wenger with the LG. It looked like things were going right there for dramiS, but Wenger played that very, very well. Great positioning. Was able to do a lot of damage without taking any. And that was nicely done. We went from tied to now Wenger up by 2.
The entire do-or-die nature of the heavy has been rather significant so far. You know, a couple of frags ago, Wenger did drop down taking the heavy, but ultimately he accomplished everything he wanted to. He was able to deny the heavy, he was able to play around the teleporter in a way that just wasted time, and by taking that heavy, he was able to chase dramiS on the next spawn because there was no armor to be had, obviously leading to a lot more pressure that has led to a 7-5 situation for the Italian. And I think that's just looking at the items and thinking, even if I go down here, always thinking about what's next. A lot of discipline, right? A lot of game sense to be able to make those plays. It's not just about looking after the life, it's the grand scheme of things. 6.5 minutes. We still got plenty of time, you know, for this result to go either way. That opening rail certainly helps. Wow. Oh, and that one's even better.
I mean, some just insane rails coming out from dramiS, and the angles that he's hitting on some of these are really impressive. And if there was one other compliment I would give to dramiS right now, is I just feel like his map awareness is on point here for map number 1. He's brought this now back to a 2-frag game, and I was looking through, still watching dramis's views in that last little run. And, you know, Wenger got hit so many times, and I don't think he had any idea where dramiS was coming from until the hit actually registered. But things have turned, right? Suddenly, dramiS now finds him with both of the major items and the ability to kind of try to tighten the grip on that control. He's going to start here with the Mega. There it is. But then he's going to make his way over to the Heavy, and in a great position to, you know, to fend us off, to grab it. Wow.
Now, I was just about to say, if dramiS is able to get a relatively clean frag right now, it's going to mean everything. And in this case, able to do just that, really. Took a little bit of damage, but stopped the bleeding, picked up some lights, now has access to heavy. A huge split between the two items as the control continues, but some excellent little bits of juggling here from Wenger. Wenger actually conceding the Mega completely. Happy to give it up. I mean, 7-7, right? 2 minutes to make magic happen. That's going to be at least 2 more rotations, probably more. I don't imagine there'll be too many delays between them. Okay, dramiS. Marcus, he's hitting hard.
He is hitting hard, and again, it's that map awareness. It's like, I have a good idea where he's at, and the LG does come out as they fight in the acid room. And then dramiS finally takes the lead off the spawn, hits a very crucial rail, a second follow-up one. He just needs to chip some damage away, but now both players super low. Doesn't matter though, dramiS having that timing of the majors immediately grabs that Mega, and I think this will be the 3rd full rotation where he's going to get both of those items yet again. And you mentioned that, like, that clean frag could result in that, and you are absolutely right, Ketchup, because that is what we've seen here. Now, 1 minute and 15 seconds remaining, still very crucial for both players. Wenger's got to turn up the aggression just a little bit to tie this back up. dramiS has got to hold on. Big rocket coming out, a couple of grenades also connecting. dramiS is pretty low, but again, the Mega comes in huge, and this rotation and the timing is big. A huge rail, can't hit the second one into a rocket.
Oh no, the grenade!
Oh, but he manages to get away. Backed in that corner. This could be bad for Wenger.
Oh my good lord, that head-on collision. The grenade, it knocked Wenger, of course. He just wanted to steal it away. But he was not able to take the item that he fought tooth and nail for, and that actually might be the sequence that has cost map 1, as dramiS 2 frags in the lead. Wenger needs a frag and needs it right now, but with the full map control that dramiS is working on, all of the items it is... I mean, this is a difficult position now. Tries to push forward, can't quite manage to do it. 15 seconds left. This just became mathematically impossible. dramiS, in the closing moments, pulling off wonderful levels of clutch. Will take map 1 versus Wenger here. Impressive start, man. An impressive start.
You know, I think it came down to that LG kill in the upper levels before that, you know, the rotation where dramiS ended up picking both the major items up. 7-10, the final score, but that was the point where Wenger was still in the lead, and then dramiS brought it back, that clean kill, and then he had almost 4 complete unscathed rotations of major items, and that allowed him to ultimately take that lead in the matchup. Such an impressive game by both players, and really MVP goes to, for me, to dramiS for some of those bank grenades. He must be working out some angles on this map, because I was really impressed with some of the grenade traps that he was setting up here. I mean, forgive me here, but I'm going to make here's my hot take. I think dramiS is giving us some of the best keel grenades I've seen this season so far. There was a couple of banks off the back, like shooting grenades behind his opponent that banked right into Wenger, and then additional damage is getting thrown out. Suddenly, that grenade he threw out a couple seconds ago, boom, 50 damage, gone, and that turned the tide on a lot of those battles.
The game changer grenade was the one in the closing moments, really.
Yeah.
Wenger was conceding the mega, wanted to take heavy. We'd seen the heavy steal before work out for him, because he was able to, yeah, he went down, but it left a rather tender and somewhat out of position dramiS to just get cleaned up. And perhaps Wenger was going for something very similar again, but moments before he picked it up, that grenade just knocked him way off course. And then from that point, I just think dramiS had too much of an advantage. He'd only just taken the mega, and then he was able to not only stop Wenger from taking heavy and take him out, but then he had the heavy himself. It was just the absolute recipe for success when it comes to dramiS on that one. And crazy to think, that was only 1 map. We have 2 more maps left to go. In this case, we're going to see a little bit more of a stack difference. If I recall, it will be Anarchy versus the Strog. So we're going to see a little bit of that crouch slide come out there for dramiS, something that he loves so much. But a good start for sure.
And the momentum kind of goes to dramiS's favor. So this will be, you know, an important Zen moment for Wenger, right? He's got to mentally reset from that last map. He did have a lead for majority of it. That's sometimes how Quake games end up playing out, where your opponent then gets a clutch, you know, frag and then capitalizes on that. So I do think he needs to just reset and know that, you know, this is a map that he's generally been pretty good on. But dramiS continues to be, right, a player that I think a lot of people need to watch and put some respect on that name, as 40 would say, and, you know, just acknowledge that here's a key player. And again, I just echo what we've been saying over the past few weeks, but this has been what has been so great about Season 3 here, is that we're getting to see some of these matchups so early. It doesn't matter, America's, EU, etc. Like, I'm just really excited about what we've been able to see so far.
Decent start for Wenger as he gets super shotgun, heavy side. You know, injection's already good to go, but I like that immediate pop of the Pika there, because you don't have the best weapons to deal with it. I mean, if you have the rocket launcher out at the time and it's that far away, you've got to sort of look for a miracle direction or something. However, there's the immediate push taking effect. Good little juggle, and there goes all the armor for Wenger, forced to retreat and preemptively hold out on heavy, because he does not want to lose it now. Thankfully, made the right call, because dramiS had the same idea. Whoa! There's the switch.
Yeah, big frag pick up there for dramiS, as it's automatically going to put Wenger kind of on his back foot. Now, one thing that was clearly a differentiator between dramiS and Wenger in the last game is that dramiS's rails were on point, and the machine gun battle happens, and the 1 HP victory for Wenger as he gets on the board with that frag. What I was going to say is that obviously with the lack of a rail here, I expected to see a little bit more LG, and we've already seen it come out from both players. So I do think that, you know, the better LG is definitely going to be helpful here in this matchup. dramiS using LG to shotgun for that first frag and the inject, but it doesn't matter. Caught on the edge of the doorway, and I hate when that happens. He stubbed the toe, and it resulted in a frag. dramiS takes the lead by 1.
That's unfortunate there for vengeurR, because it did result in a completely wasted injection at the same time. Delaying the inevitable, as they often say when it comes to injection doing nothing. In this case now, dramiS. Lots and lots of heavy in the tank. And just like that, trying to bait something out. dramiS with this low ground. It's a tricky fight to play because your opponent is pretty hard to hit, whereas you, vulnerable to a fair amount of splash. Good weapon choice for LG, and vengeurR, again, forced to use that immediate injection, but can he escape? Does manage to take away the light. So actually, I think vengeurR, things could have been much worse there, and he'll happily take that exchange. dramiS, considerably healthier. However, there's that heavy, and now Mega in sight. Does he manage to pick it up?
You know, I really wonder, you know, on the Anarchy, right? Speed is one of your utilities here, and hold on as we do almost have a frag there, but speed's kind of one of your utilities, and one thing that I've seen dramiS do really well, I think, there the inject comes out, but big hit by the peeker. dramiS very, very low, and vengeurR comes in for the scoop up, and he's low, though. He's got to be very careful. What I was going to say is that it seems like dramiS has caught vengeurR in the air with that LG quite a bit. Like, he's anticipating some of those routes based on the fact that he's playing Anarchy, and a big combo there, catch up. The rocket perfectly placed into the shotgun with a little bit of LG sprinkled in, and vengeurR has taken the lead.
A lot has happened in a short space of time now. Heavy. Next item to spawn. Once again, vengeurR really prioritizing access to armor, which is going to matter a great deal with how dramiS has been hit incredibly hard. I guess couple that with the injection, and it does give a little bit more of a fighting stack. vengeurR sets the trap near Mega, but a little bit more damage than he bargained for, perhaps. But holding on to the injection, waits until it's the good time, right? And now overstack in full effect. Perfect time to sit and guard this heavy for yet another time. Good use of the injection there, and actually doesn't even take any rocket damage. dramiS is looking at a push, but that is a lot. Oh, God.
I was just about to say, like, oh, I like how vengeurR is kind of like playing the game back with the LG. That was a really smart catch, but peeker was the equalizer on that one. vengeurR still does have the lead, but only by 1. It is 4-3 after he picked up that one. So I like how close this game has been so far. Both players are really bringing us some action here. Big rocket out of the teleporter exit and do a little bit more LG damage. And now he knows exactly where his opponent is, and those back hallways can just kind of sit here. Catches him coming out the side, and he just says, peeker, whatever, don't need ya. Immediately just electrified him in the corner for that 2-frag lead, now 5-3.
Now, dramiS has to be careful here. This has been a close map, all things considered, but there are a couple of instances now where he knows he's trapped and he's kind of trying to just strong-arm his way through. I do worry that that's the kind of thing that can spiral out of control quite quickly, as now vengeurR is able to secure a frag, a clean one. Barely any of the stack was lost, and now the control continues. We have heavy up next. In this case, vengeurR, perfect position. All the weapons in the world. All the ammo we could ever need. And an inject locked and loaded. So this should be a free pickup.
I think so too. Makes his way around through that teleporter and back up. And it really does seem like just a big adjustment here for vengeurR. He's looking very confident in these fights. His LG, and we mentioned that it could be an equalizer here. It's hitting at 39% to dramiS' 36, but 3 of those frags have come from the LG. Just an indicator to show how he's caught dramiS, kind of with his pants down a few times in that regard. And there's another one, cleans it up beautifully, 8-3 now And that will be a killing spree, as well as Wenger has had some unanswered frags here catch up. dramiS is keeping that aggression going. It finally does pay off. And, sometimes you do need to push that aggression to try to take some control and stack some additional frags.
Every time dramiS is securing a frag, it's in a rather awkward time, though, because it's not right as an item spawns. The frag lands, and the item still has about 6 or 7 seconds left to go, so it puts you in this tricky position where you want to make your presence known, but you've just had a fight, you're tender, they've picked up an item or two, and now they're probably in a better position to get some damage on deck. So dramiS has had to make some pretty difficult decisions. But now, what's it going to be up next? Looking for the combo. Ooh. Oh, kamikaze indeed. That was a lot of damage.
That was, and dramiS knew that hit, knew his opponent was weak. That was a great opportunity here for him to push forward. Now, we'll see how he's going to attack this one, because Heavy is going to be up in just a few seconds. The inject does come out, and dramiS cannot secure that Heavy. That gives Wenger an open opportunity, and a suicide by dramiS as the rocket aimed a little bit too low. The splash damage does him in, and Wenger holds on to this 4-frag lead, but dramiS off to spawn. Too aggressive? The answer is yes, as Wenger picks up another one, and with 3 seconds left to go there, he finally cleans it up. But right at what cost? You gave up a couple of frags in order to secure that one. Yes, that might mean that you can convert a few, frags off of that, but that's not necessarily the case in the pattern that we've seen throughout this matchup. So I question whether giving away those frags are worth it in the long run. It could be that dramiS has kind of already exceeded in this matchup, or this particular game, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think he's just trying to keep that pressure on with Wenger.
dramiS kind of went for the go big or go home right there. Knew that with the health that was left was not going to win an LG fight, so he kind of had to bank on getting a direct rocket. And dramiS, some of these decisions, like, you understand what's going through his head, but some of the fights just haven't been very clean. Has got much less damage than he was banking on. And in this case, vengeurR just needs to keep doing what he's doing for 2 more minutes. 5 frags. Technically, you can get 5 frags in 2 minutes, but often at the beginning of the map, when people are far behind and they're struggling to get their foot on the pedal. But right now, vengeurR is just going to play this highly defensive game. Probably get some kind of presence on the items just to stop it from being a snowball, but in this instance, as long as every frag takes as long as possible, it doesn't matter if you concede a few now. There's so much work for dramiS to do. We're talking about 2 minutes left on the clock, 30 seconds, and that's already gone. And just like that, I'm thinking with the way things are going, this is probably going to be a 1-to-1, where Awoken's going to be the final stop, and we'll figure out who's going to win this damn series.
That's exciting, right? Especially, considering how both players have kind of put their foot down and taken a map. I think Awoken, and especially with the champions that we've got, make it even more anticipated game here in this matchup, and one that will decide who will claim victory overall. I do think the one big thing that is going to be big going into that game is, on Awoken, we've got pretty much all our weapons on the table. The Athena and the Ranger, both players with some some movement capabilities there. So I think it's great. I love the fact that we're going to sit at a 1-1 result going into Game 3. It's going to make it all that more exciting.
I did mention at the very beginning, I saw someone say, is it going to be Rail God dramiS today? If there's a map where Rail God dramiS will matter a great deal, it'll be Awoken with Athena, because we've actually seen dramiS on that map in particular. When he's bringing that A-game Rail, it's the absolute deciding factor. He'll rock up. I believe it was against Razy not too many weeks ago. Yeah, I'll just rock up and hit everything. No worries, no big deal. But you know what? We're already talking about that final map because this map's already done. It's going to be a 1-to-1. vengeurR gets a map on the board. A rather competitive map until things started to slip through the cracks, for dramiS. A couple of big payoffs, or attempts for payoffs that didn't pay off at all. Mostly just down to lack of damage. There were just some fights that were a bit messy from dramiS' side, and sometimes it happens. Not every fight can be clean, but with some of the times that he chose to go in, kind of during the midpoint of the map, they were rather pivotal because he puts so much into the fight for vengeurR to take such little damage in return, then creates a rather tricky situation right as you've spawned, and now vengeurR's in control.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that map evolved very quickly in that first 2 minutes. I thought dramiS was LG controlling a little bit better. I liked him being on the lower levels of Mega and then trying to catch Wenger up in the air. But after those first couple of frags, it seemed like Wenger was like, hey, I know that play. I'm going to use it too. And then his LG really, it's like he charged it up. And it really made a massive difference. And I think that was partially some confidence too. We saw him, you know, Wenger kind of plant his feet and say, hey, I know I can out-aim you in LG. So there we have it, 11-5, and it's tied to 1 game apiece going into Awoken. Wenger going to be on the Ranger and dramiS on the Athena. I admit, Ketchup, I love watching Athena, but I think, you know, partially because of the style, partially because of the speed and the movement, but also partially because playing a perfect Athena game for 10 minutes is really hard to do, right? Like, you know, some of the quick grapples that you see, you could be put in a bad position, or you are very trackable against your opponent. How will that play in? What will we see happen here? I don't know, but exciting to think that dramiS is able to win that first game and force us into a third game to decide who will take it.
It just goes back to why so many of us love watching Quake, because Quake's hard. Quake's really hard. And when you take champions on top that are really, really challenging to play, and that sort of margin for error is so low and the skill ceiling is so high, you take the best players using the hardest to use champions, and they can make things look easy that very much are not.
Right.
But it's what Pro League's all about. It's showcasing the best talent. And in this case, this matchup has already been a wonderful example of that. And I'm so curious to think how this one's going to go, because dramiS in the past, when it's been time to step up on that final map, and you have to be really rail heavy, your execution has got to be on point. dramiS has historically proven that he can bring his A game at the most stressful, when the chips are down, when he's got to do it. He's able to do it, and it's kind of hard, man. Let's jump into this final map, as I'll let you run us through Awoken, the decider between vengeurR and dramiS.
Yeah, tied 1 game apiece, and I mean, a lot can happen here. The outcomes of the ranks overall, it could be a big boost for dramiS. It could be a nice kind of solidification for Wenger. How will it play out? Well, there the rail comes out, and I guess there's the answer to that question that we had. Looking for a follow-up rail. Actually, rocket comes out. Orb, it comes in a little bit early, and then the rocket putting dramiS on the board with frag number 1. As, you know, well done to open up this matchup.
And those rails have already been impressive. We're only 30 seconds in. However, no way he was safely going to be able to make his presence known on that heavy. However, the grapple shot does make it a bit easier to get towards Mega. Taking one of these items away from vengeurR, very important. However, has to be careful. In 5 seconds, that Dire Orb is coming out to play. And clearly, with those light champions, it's not a fight you want to take. You know, most of the time, misses the opening shot. That would have been so important, especially with the inevitable close-range fight that vengeurR might try and force on here. Speaking of which, wait a minute, he completely misses it!
What a read. The direct rocket, the orb kind of whiffs, and dramiS read it like a book, his favorite book that he's read 30 times. And not only that, but then an exchange right off of the spawn to suddenly put dramiS up 3-0 in the first minute and 25 seconds. You know, that rocket was champion right there. That was a huge rocket. Probably had it not hit, suddenly that Dire Orb exchange might have been a little bit different, but gonna sneak in here, grab that heavy. It was a nice little assault by dramiS, and he is just gonna keep it up. So far, so good, but really solid start for him.
And vengeurR missing that first rail. That was the complete skeleton key for the whole sequence there, where dramiS goes in, takes away the heavy, gets a little bit of a dance, played on deck. The immediate turnaround. Tri-bolt definitely hurts. The final rail does not hit its mark, and that's going to be temporary breathing space for vengeurR. There is going to be a lot of stuff to heal up with, but it was an obvious place to go, however. Again, vengeurR not interested in overstaying his welcome. We can play a patient game here. The aggressive push for dramiS. Tri-bolt. Lots of damage, but the pick wake up! What a turnaround for Wenger.
So fantastic right there. Dodged the tri-bolt, managed to get that rail, picks up his first frag, but more importantly, stops that momentum from dramiS, right? Forces him to slow down a little bit. Arm back up, make sure he's got a stack. Great LG coming out from Wenger into the rocket as the heavy is picked up, but the frag might be more important in this situation. 2 to 3 now. Wenger not looking his best. Clothes might need to be a little washed there. There's the mega. That's going to put him in a better position. A huge rail coming around the corner. And, oh, wow, how about a pair of them tied back up 3 to 3, and Wenger has turned up the heat big time.
It is perfectly crystal clear that the aim of the game for Wenger right now is going to be keep that rail away from dramiS.
Yep.
As long as possible, make it so if he's going to finally take it, you get something good in the deal. Because another push, oh, so nearly a trade, but not quite. Knows where he's going to spawn, pushes on forward, gets some bonus damage. The next 15 seconds are going to be pivotal, because that's when Heavy's going to spawn. Who's going to get it? They're both extremely weak. Wenger, still sitting near rail's side, does not want dramiS to get it unchallenged. Because if he's got a rail from this far away, look, forces him to push in and be aggressive because he hasn't got access to range. But again, Wenger clutches out the final shot. dramiS has been so close so many times. What a crazy map this has been already, mate.
It has, and I'll tell you what, that grapple was something else. I mean, really kind of throwing Wenger off. He still managed to get the frag, but just to kind of show you the unpredictability that dramiS is capable of dishing out with that Athena. Didn't quite work out there, and because partially I think this is Wenger in the zone, and dramiS still playing really, really well. But right, Wenger is a champion, and when a champion is in a great position, this is exactly what they can do. Now, Orb is up, does need to find some health and armor now, improve his stack here a little bit, and Wenger does have that 2-frag lead, so it puts him in a position where, a one mistake is not going to ruin his chances here. He's going to also pick up that light, puts him in a good spot now as we get ready for the next heavy.
By cycling the map around, though, this was the moment dramiS has been allowed to take a rail, so it's going to reintroduce the comfort situation that dramiS was in at the start of the map. However, hasn't quite hit these 2 rails. Lack of rocket has been a bit of a problem for Wenger throughout this map. Tri-bolt for rail. Oh, that's such a horrendous trait to take, especially if you miss the rail. But in this case, Wenger, the one in control, the one in charge. 2 frags in the lead now. dramiS has very little stack to work with, especially if he gets caught on that teleporter. Looked for it, had the rough idea, and now dramiS really wants to take this heavy without going down, and actually gets the frag!
I mean, what an interesting exchange. The orb displaces Wenger, but then also the grapple changes dramiS' position. I thought that Wenger was set up pretty nicely, even though he let dramiS get to that heavy and be right on top of it. But dramiS gets the better of that one, and he brings this now to a 1-frag game. And I'm just very grateful that we are getting this 3rd game, and as close as it is to close out this series. Like, it is been a nice display by both players, but this is kind of the action that I was hoping to see here.
That was a lovely little maneuver. So many of these Athena grapples, like I know some of them they're rather commonly known competitive grapples, but they're so strong, and wait a minute, perfect time. dramiS secures a frag, 5 to 5 now. However, perfect time for the item to spawn. Rocket jump scouted out. dramiS listened for it and reacted accordingly. Didn't quite get the rail through the death hole. However, what's next? Wenger, no orb, in big trouble. Very big trouble! dramiS gets another frag here, and oh my lordy lord.
Yeah, and I mean, frag with, I feel like, a little bit of more control than he's had in kind of other exchanges. He's going to be able to grab this mega and then be in a good spot to set up here for this heavy. Not where Wenger wants that to be. Orb is going to be up in just a few seconds. Is he going to throw it out? No, he's going to keep the LG on. Couple rockets hit, and a beautiful rail from Wenger to stay alive and to tie this back up. He did not have to use his orb either, and that puts him in a position to have it available in the next engagement.
Positioning is going to be key yet again, as Wenger looking for the item, listening out for it. But again, dramiS without the rail is not going to have the same level of presence. That has just been the common situation. Wenger is forced upon here as an aggressive push. Extremely aggressive, and Wenger is so weak to lick his wounds. Surely he's going to have to give up the whole map.
I think so. I mean, it's like this is a complete reset. Oh no, the rocket jump, and actually it hit, and dramiS, he reads the drop down from the middle level and has a perfectly placed rail. That puts him back in the lead in a second to follow up another pair. And this is huge for Oh my God! Could you have had a better hat trick of frags right there at the 8-minute mark? I don't think it is possible. What a set of exchanges. Wenger keeping it alive. He desperately needs the frag, but he's going to get railed, and he's not going to get it.
This is a crucial minute and a half now. The Rockets are really good. dramiS does not want to push too hard here. Cannot get overconfident. Don't get greedy. We have to still play a solid game of Quake for a minute and a half, but oh my goodness. DJ Wee, the hat trick we saw, and there's it is! Good Lord, rail God, and then some. Wenger has just been on the brink of death so many times, and this is the worst time for it to happen. You need to mount a comeback. You need to make something happen. You can't afford to waste time running around and getting your base stack back up. This is a nightmare for one of the world's best.
Yeah, and I feel like this, it might be over. The curtain call may have taken place. Catch up in the last minute. dramiS, just what an unbelievable triple set of frags.
All three of those frags have got to be in the top 10. Like, I expect it.
Yeah,
in one go.
Just like package them together. I don't know how you're going to approach it, but you're absolutely right. I mean, especially the rail on that final one. And you know, things were so close. There was an exchange of blows, and then one player would back off, and then they would deliver an exchange. But dramiS ultimately coming out the victor, and it looks like he is going to clean this up. Now, it puts it in a really interesting spot because now dramiS is 2-2 in league standings, and that puts Wenger at 2-2 in league standings. Both players, you know, having some victories, but also sharing their losses as well. And there it is. Wenger will go down to dramiS in what was an insanely close set of games, going 2-1 in dramiS's favor in that final map on Awoken. Some awesome grapples there. I can't wait to hear what ZSX has to say. Will we see a look of shock and surprise? Let's bring him in and find out. No, not at all. Not surprised.
A little bit surprised. I think I'm more surprised at not necessarily the result, but the manner of the result, the way in which I don't think I've ever seen Wenger be that on the back foot before. Every single frag pretty much Wenger got was forced, and you know how conservative he was, even particularly on this map. He just tried tooth and nail to stop dramiS even touching a rail. That was the strategy, and I think you said it in map 2, It's a blessing and a curse for dramiS. It's go big or go home. It feels like everything he does is all or nothing. And my word, when it works, it looks amazing. But when it doesn't, it looks a bit foolish. And if he can find a balance, he becomes even scarier. But, I mean, what do? Do you ban the rail here? I don't know what you have to do.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's not like Wenger's rail wasn't terrible. He was hitting some real sick rails, too. There was some weird grapple orb exchanges, and I would say that the thing that really stuck out to me is that dramiS read those situations really, really well. We saw the one frag that took place in that upper, really confined middle area, where the grapple in and then the jump backwards to anticipate the orb coming out, and then a perfectly placed rocket at the exit of that orb, right? Like, and those decisions took place within nanoseconds of each other. So just dramiS continues to impress, and you know, I think Wenger did too, but dramiS was the better Quake player today.
I think just on the scoreboard, I think dramiS had about 2,400 rocket damage compared to Wenger's 600. Like that's insane. It just shows you how much pressure he was putting on with the Athena, forcing the issue, and Wenger could do nothing.
I gotta say, that final result, we had some good games today. CNZ versus Rafa was off the chain. Wenger and dramiS, for me, was a personal highlight as well. CNZ versus Rafa, I don't think anything can top how close that was, but dramiS in particular, I really cannot help but revisit all the way back to, Pro League kickoff, and how dramiS was very much a sort of slow climber, and no one was really looking at him at the very beginning. And obviously he's had one hell of a rough road, lots of ups and downs. But you compare where dramiS began when Pro League started to now, where the two opponents he's been able to take out so far are Razy and Wenger. It's just like, this is not even close to the same player anymore. And for me, that's what Pro League is all about, is that player progression.
Yeah.
Lolly you.
I know, right?
I completely agree, right? Like one of the fascinating aspects of this is watching players improve, watching players overcome their own adversity, the adversity that they come up against versus certain opponents, the evolution of their own play. Certainly all three things we've seen here at the beginning of season 3 and specifically over the past couple of years. So continues to impress and not disappoint.
There's just so many good games left to go as well. I mean, like, today's been really, really fun because we've just been able to see more of that sort of just collection. I think for me as well, just seeing a little bit of the extra things in play, because we didn't see loads of the balance changes. We didn't see the new map at all today. A lot of players are either banning it out because they don't want to play on it at all, or some people are banning it because they don't want to play certain players, aka Kilson, cough, cough. So there's always the chance for things to develop, the more weeks that we have. But unfortunately, folks, that's all we have time for today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. It was a really fun day full of fun games, and same time, same place next week, I suppose. Or actually, no. I'm already getting my dates mixed up. It's 2 weeks, isn't it? Yeah, thanks, production. Cheers. At least one of us is paying attention. My name is Ketchup, joined by ZSX and DJ Wait. Thank you so much. Much love, peace out, take care, and good night.